10-Meter Tower, the 2016 short film by Swedish-based filmmakers Maximilian van Artrik and Axel Danielsson, is a contemporary film that pronounces itself to having a somewhat unconventional approach to classic documentary. It explores the behavior of a number of individuals who suffer from a phobia of heights as they are placed in a challenging situation, 10 meters above a pool. The documentation of how the subjects react to this confrontation and the consequent decisions they make form the basis of this film. It is a primary example of an observational documentary which evokes emotional response to the viewer without use of fiction or narrative. Throughout this presentation, the content and stylistic forms that this documentary undertakes will be analysed in order to address its observational characteristics. Initially, the objective of 10-Meter Tower was to capture the reactions of humans placed in a confronting situation in a sort of psychological experiment. Given either the choice to face their fear and take the leap, or to simply step down from the diving board, viewers are constantly left in suspense. Some of the characters ultimately choose to take the leap, whilst others step back down the ladder after a lengthy contemplation. What makes this so suspenseful is the fact that, regardless of their decision, they perform the same actions and show the same emotion as they assess their judgment. They are often shown running to the edge of the platform, but stopping at the end out of fear and turning around to rethink their decision. The directors have cleverly chosen a camera angle that understates the depth of the platform on which the characters stand on. This is an effective technique to further generate tension, as it becomes difficult for the audience to see how fast the subjects are approaching the edge, not knowing whether they can stop in time. For the characters who do choose to jump, the camera angle changes to show the said tower and pool beneath, in an attempt to visualize how high the jump is. 10-Meter Tower's ability to engage the viewers with the same level of uncertainty as a fictional narrative film is what separates it from ordinary and traditional documentaries. Additionally, the entire 16 minutes of the documentary is without music or sound effects, with the exception of a single opera track at the end of the film to bring it to a close. This emphasis on visual engagement and lack of non-diegetic audio or narration draws parallels with their other works of Van Artrik and Danielsson. This is also evident in their film Play, which explores real cases of bullying, again examining humans from a psychological perspective with an element of confrontation. Though still a documentary, its minimal use of editing, distinct lack of camera movement, and diegetic audio render both the filmmakers and the audience as if they are a third person. In both films, the subjects remain incognizant of the camera's presence, as if they're not even there to begin with, further aligning itself with observational documentary characteristics. For the observational mode, continuity is very important. 10-Meter Tower addresses this in an uncouth manner, as camera shots switch between the subjects before they take the jump. There is no way for the audience to know who approached the diving board in any particular order, yet once they have jumped or stepped down, they make no further appearance on screen, with the exception of one individual. Despite switching between the individuals, the film follows each subject in the lead up to their decision with continuity in mind. The suspense builds further and further with each shot, whilst continually building on the emotion of the characters and their reactions. This simply could not be done with the use of other modes such as performative form, for example. Though the audience would experience some of the fear that is inherited by the characters through a first-person perspective, it simply lacks a level of suspense and viewed emotion that it can only be achieved by a rigid camera from afar. It can be likened to the morbid human obsession to view a horrific car accident rather than to be in one. The observational mode can achieve the same level of engagement and emotional distress to the audience as the performative mode, if not more, a sense of visceral presence that only it can provide. Toward the last quarter of the film, the characters that have the most trouble choosing to jump are presented. Though a majority eventually bring themselves to take the dive, the final shot portrays the subject who simply cannot muster the courage, who then ultimately steps down the ladder. Audiences are left with a side-on shot of the tower in its entirety, yet this time there is no satisfaction or relief to be felt. This last shot is a reminder of how invested the viewers felt in the subject's emotions, as if they were helping them face their fears, yet by the last subject, they were disappointed. 10 Meter Tower objectively is a display of people overcoming their fears, yet this could have been done a number of ways, which develops a stronger emotional connection to audiences. Despite this, it was done perfectly via observational documentary, because it lacked deep character development. It is a documentary about human condition and not the story of a single person. Van Artrik and Danielson remind audiences that everyone has fears and some cannot face them. That couldn't be accomplished better in any mode other than observational documentary.